Currently nominated for Best Animated Feature and Best International Feature at the Academy Awards. It is the Latvian entry Flow, fresh off its Golden Globe win. And Christy, explain.
Yeah, I will. I think I like this movie more than you did. So I am delighted to explain it to you. This also won for us at the LA Film Critics Award. This is our pick for Best Animated Film. I would argue this is your front runner right now to win the Oscar for Best Animated Film.
You're not wrong. Yeah. I think the momentum is building behind it. People love this movie, and yeah, I think the bellwethers are all there. It's up for the Spirit Awards also for international this year. So yeah, it's everything's coming up Flow.
Yes, I don't think it's going to win international, but I think it'll win animated. But I think it's really, really cool that it is there for both. Gints Zilbalodis is the filmmaker here, and he did a lot of this himself. It's a very lo-fi movie, but it's all about the storytelling, and it is a totally wordless animated film which takes place, I don't really know when or where. They don't ever really say, they don't really have to, but clearly some kind of climate calamity has occurred and there is flooding. And so the creatures that remain, mainly this cat who we follow, the cat is our conduit, has to go from like one place to another and like seek higher ground and figure out a way to survive, and then meets up with a dog and a bird and some other creatures, and they are
a capybara.
Yes, they are anthropomorphized just enough, right? It's not super cutesy, it's not adorable. They don't talk. They don't talk. I mean, like they bark and meow a little bit, but you know, they make the noises that you expect these animals to make.
And they're actual animal noise recordings, right? They're not actors. Like that's somebody told me they went out of their way to record actual cats and actual dogs, and I think they couldn't get a capybara and they went up with like an asthmatic tiger or something, but for the most part, like these are genuine animals, which is why the phenomenon you've been seeing online lately is people talking about watching Flow and their cats being wrapped by the screen.
What is this sorcery? This animal talking to me through the screen. It is gentle and it is wondrous and beautiful in like soft kind of pastel ways, and like the trickle of the water and the sun shimmering on the water. It is not as high tech in its animation as something that you would see in Pixar, for example, or like DreamWorks animation. But I feel like the almost rough-hewn quality of it is superior in a lot of ways because it just feels smaller and gentler, and like actual hands have been on it in ways that, I'm not saying it's hand-drawn, it's not. No. But it just feels a lot more personal and a lot more intimate. And I found it really moving, and I was super into it, and I was screaming at the screen like, "Oh no, kitty, look out!" And of course, you know, the cat can't hear me, but like, that's how into it I was like screaming at the screen. I thought it was really lovely and surprising, and it is very much a parable about what's happening with our planet in ways that are not super heavy-handed, but I think will register for kids who are watching it, and register for everybody who, I think everyone can watch it of any age and be enraptured by it. So I thought it was really beautiful and I loved it.
Yeah, sticking out over the top of the water are sort of like relics of human civilization. So we know that this is Earth and not some like water planet or whatever. Here's the thing. I like this movie. I like it quite a bit. I don't love it. No? And people love Flow, and great. They're more power to you. And I'm glad that you had that experience. I have a couple issues with it. First of all, the animation, yes, you're right. It is a little more rough hewn, and that's fine. But there are certain angles of the animals' faces where they become like really sort of 1.0 computer animation, like you can almost sort of see the graph lines, you know. And I was kind of, and that would take me out of it because it felt suddenly like it was, it's 1985, you know, and I'm watching Tony DePeltry or something. And then it's also for me a movie that sort of makes its point and then keeps making it. And so I after about 20-30 minutes, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. still getting it, and so it didn't build for me in that way that I think it has for a lot of people. So I think it's beautifully crafted. There's a lot of artistry here. And again, it's one of those, there are movies where like as we always say about Amelia Parrots, I don't know what people see in this movie who love this movie and nominate it for awards. I do see what people see in Flow, and I wish I had been carried away by it the way you and so many people I know have been, but I'm just sort of like, yes, it's good.
Yeah. But do they not find different avenues into that same point? It is the same point. It is the same overarching theme here that like the planet is fucked.
Right.
But like, do they not find different avenues into it that keeps it fresh?
I mean, it evolves. I mean, absolutely. You have new animals coming in, and there are sort of these discrete kind of little, not side quests exactly, but these sort of like intra-plot vignettes involving like catching fish or, this or that or whatever. And, it's doing what it's doing well. I just didn't have the emotional connection to it that clearly so many have. And so I kind of feel like on that level, it didn't get me and that way. And I would love to have begotten. I sobbed through Robot Dreams and loved it, so I'm not averse to responding to this kind of stuff. It just didn't do it for me.
I was going to mention Robot Dreams because we were both so moved by that. And there was also a story that was an animated story that's wordless, involving like anthropomorphized animals and a robot and the passage of time and how do they survive it and all that. So that is better. I agree with you on that is more powerfully effective. But I think that part of what I love about Flow is how gentle it is, especially when I know like The Wild Robot is a movie that people have gone nuts for. Everyone loves. I like the first hour of it, and then it becomes really standard to me. But I think both are kind of trying to say something about humanity and the planet from the perspective of like the animals that are having to survive.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting comparison because both movies sort of posit this idea of animals who would naturally be enemies are sort of forced to work together because there's a larger threat at stake, and that they have to sort of put aside those kind of baked in avenues of enmity or whatever. And maybe that in itself is a metaphor of, if humanity wants to survive the climate crisis, we have to like all be on the same page here. And is that ever going to happen?
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. And they're just cutesy enough, right?
Yes,
It is not like me, adorable cat being winking. Like there's no winking pop culture references here.
No. This cat actually kind of reminded me of is it Gigi in Kiki's Delivery Service?
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah,
that sort of like just black cat with the eyes. It's there's a lot to like here, and you should see it. I'm not telling anybody not to see it. I'm the one who's dead here. Everyone else loves this film, so go see Flow. It absolutely deserves to be where it is in the Oscar chat, and I won't be surprised if it takes home animated this year.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say 9. It was on my top 10 list. I loved it. I thought it was delightful, and people should see it, as you say. What's your number, Alonso? I'm
a 7.6. I think there's a lot there that's great, and I'm perfectly willing to acknowledge that I just missed the literal boat in this movie.
Well, Flow is streaming. Haha. Where is it, on Max?
It's on Max, yeah. And I think maybe also the Criterion Channel. But yeah, it's if this is the one in the animated category that you missed because it probably it was on the fewest screens, it's now very accessible at home. And Wallace and Gromit is over at Netflix, and maybe we can squeeze that one in before the Oscars as well.
Let's do it. Thanks.